This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Man.
Vikings football is back. Come find our Mall of America Street Team each day at Vikings training camp to find out how you can win awesome prizes, including Mall of America mystery cards or tickets to an upcoming Vikings game. Get the full details now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Number 2 should be fast-paced and action-packed, just like hour number 1. We started off, as always, with 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
All Vikings, let's win this game. You'll hear us yell for more.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the state of the skull.
ESPN.com ranked all 32 NFL teams based on team talent under the age of 25. They ranked the Vikings at number 21. They wrote, quote, "The top young talents for the Vikings are impressive, but it's notable that they don't have a huge number of recently drafted players. There are only 4 players on their roster who are under 25 and played more than 5 games in 2024. Plus, the Vikings did not have a selection in the second or fourth rounds of this April's draft. That group, of course, does not include 22-year-old starter J.J. McCarthy, who missed his entire rookie season with a knee injury. Jordan Addison is currently 23, and he is one of the top number 2 wide receivers in the game. The other 3 young players with experience are linebacker Ivan Pace Jr., kicker Will Reichard, and last year's first-round pick, edge rusher Dallas Turner. The Vikings also have their 2025 rookies led by 22-year-old guard Donovan Jackson. Common, are you concerned about the Vikings' low rankings with the under 25 talent?
Could you repeat that question? I wasn't able to follow along. I thought I was a guest on the Dan Barrero show.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned. I have some guacamole to have with my chips, and I left the chips at home. You know, Costco has these, everything is great, big, huge. Like, you buy corn chips there, like the, like Dorito kind, right? Their brand. They're terrific, by the way. And they come in a bag, everything at Costco is in bulk, right? They come in a bag that's like as big as a hefty lawn bag, right? And I took a bunch today to bring them in, and I forgot to put them in my lunch bag. It's like my whole afternoon now is ruined.
Because you get different kind of chips out of the vending machine, or does it have to be that kind of chips?
No, the vending machine, every time I try that, it makes me buy like 9 things, and I end up spending $25 in there. And it's, I suppose
You send Kara to get you some chips.
She was ripping me. Abbott said so. Abbott said her and Barb were ripping me.
Yeah.
Abbott was sticking up for me. Then they just kept ripping me, and they were laughing, and then he joined in, and all 3 of them were ripping me. And then I went up to Kara, and I said, a little earlier during one of the breaks, I said, I imagine it was peer pressure is why you ripped me. And she said it was. So then, in other words, because I said, I thought her and I had a really good vibe. We're getting along really well. And she said she was forced to laugh by, she just felt like she had to because Abbott and Little B were ripping me. I don't know if I'm concerned about the Twins and the Vikings and the rage. I've quoted George Allen. He was a long-time Rams and a Washington coach from years gone by. And he was the first guy that just started signing veterans and trading players and doing the future is now. And so, no, I am, I guess long-term, but, there's always drafts and there's free agency, so they can stockpile young players better. But I think this organization is I think the Wilfs, after 20 years of owning this, has it been 20? It's been close, right? After all these years of owning the club, and they got close. I mean, they got to an NFC championship game, and we weren't that far from winning the big game or getting to the big game. You know, we lost to the Eagles. Remember, it was the game was going to be played at U.S. Bank Stadium, and the motto for that season was "Bring it home." And then after the NFC championship game, it was "Watch from home." But I know we lost 31-7. We weren't that far out of that game. All we needed was a touchdown, 2-point conversion, and an onside kick, a touchdown, another 2-point conversion, and another onside kick, and then a touchdown. So I can't worry about youth right now. Let's go ahead and let's win one for the Gipper or win one for Bud, and I'm all in. Let's win some football games. I'll worry about youth later.
Question number 2. It's time now for multiple choice.
All right, Common, which headline at ESPN.com would you most likely click on? A, NYC shooter was targeting NFL HQ, mayor says. B, Cubs Hall of Famer Sandberg dies at age 65. C, quote, it was a no-brainer, end quote, Paul celebrated an LA return. D, Dion says he's cancer-free after bladder removal. E, source, Raiders player offended by Wilkins' kiss.
Well, just the headline on the Wilkins kiss, it makes me want to click on because I don't know what that one's about. The first one's just tragic. You know, we had a mass stabbing at a Walmart somewhere over the weekend, I think. It seems like there's like a mass shooting at least every other day, if not every day in this country. And this one.
Do you want to listen to KOC, by the way? He just started his presser.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do it.
It's in a senseless tragedy. Been thinking about that this morning and just wanted to make sure we started out with that. Really good first day in pads yesterday. Sequenced up a lot of, combination work between positions, whether it would be O-line, D-line, the guys on the edges, inside linebackers, running backs, and then obviously the passing game one-on-ones. Sequence that up with then getting into some, inside run drills and some physicality there where it wasn't in the all-11 setting. We got some one-on-one pass rush. Really loved the way the guys attacked the physicality of the practice, and then we worked through some different phases. Really good day. Once again by our defense, continuing to prove that veteran nature of that first group, and then how some of these guys are starting off camp. The mixture of how Jonathan Grenard and Hargrave and Gink and John Allen are, really meshing together pretty quickly is going to be a very, very good thing for the Vikings and really good thing for both sides. Great work for us as an offense. But then I also want to mention Dallas Turner seems to just continue to show up to me on tape, and I thought J.J. McCarthy had another really good day, and our offense, in the absence of Jets, we're seeing some guys, like Jordan Addison, like he's done before in the past, step in there and make some plays. And it was also, although we didn't get to see him a lot in team periods, CD, full pads getting in some work, as well as Will Fries getting in there early part of practice. So where are we at in the week? We'll have shells on today. So we are still practicing today. Some really good work plans, some situational work at the end of practice. A little bit different than the 2-minute, but you guys will see and understand that drill. But I'm excited about today, excited about tomorrow. Critical phase, these eight days or so in training camp for our football team. All right, and then just a housekeeping note with Isaiah Rodgers. He just had a little soreness. You'll see him work his way back in here as we go throughout these next couple days. You'll see him out there a little bit today.
Is wearing women's underwear part of your
Lucky Jackson and where he's come from, starting out in the XFL, he was in the practice squad, and the way he stepped in for you last couple of days.
Yeah, I think it shows a lot that he can step in for, in many ways, and take the positional reps that Justin will be taking. I think it says a lot about Key and Tony's trust in him, Wes, myself. But this is a guy that does everything the right way. Does everything the right way. doing everything in his control to become the best player he can become. Just happens to be in a very deep receiver room, but he's getting some opportunity right now for sure. I think Jalen Naylor's having a great camp. I showed the team 3 or 4 clips last night that can sometimes go unnoticed. Guys just doing their job in that inside position that many cast of characters over the years have made real famous by just doing their job from the slot in this system. And Speedy's having a great camp, picking up right where he left off in the spring. But yeah, lucky that Jayshon Jones is off to a really good start. We're seeing our young guys all be taking strides, not making the same mistake twice. And Rondell is getting his legs underneath him and continues to do some things that really impress. So really fired up about that group as a whole.
In New York, do you guys do anything to ramp up security at all, or is there any actions you take here?
Our folks here, obviously Andrew Miller's in direct dialogue with the league, and then Dave Course is as good as anybody I've ever been around for security for our organization. I from time to time I'll get briefed on some things, but those folks know that my expectation is that we are totally safe, and our folks always handle things so well. And we expect this, our campus, while we're hosting our fans and everything, to remain that. It's been phenomenal having the fans out here every day.
And in that 2-minute drill yesterday at the end, there's I think a couple plays where JJ ends up not throwing the ball. I don't know.
Those are called sacks. Yes.
Call that a sack. But what do we need to know about those that we maybe didn't see?
No, I'm just joking with you, Kev. But no, it was, the first play of the drill, you're always trying to get the drill off to a good start in that 2-minute setting. But end of half, can we kind of, capture the momentum of the drill by making a play on the first play and then being able to play it out from there on our terms and not just hope for a field goal, but maybe we go down and try to score. We've had some success over the years, these last three years, in that middle 8 kind of end of half phase. But that was not always against the likes of Grenard, Gink, Hargrave, Allen, and I think Cash or IP might have been in there as well. But Flo brought a pressure, just a simple pressure, playing man coverage, real tight, sticky coverage on the outside, and they were able to run a game up front and get home almost at the top of JJ's drop on the first one. And then I think another time where there was a chance to change the whole drill down the field with our secondary or primary, however you look at it, progression. And JG, that's why he's here. Call him the closer. How many times have we seen him win a one-on-one or even a help from the back or the tight end, and he just wins and ends the drill. We're not at full capacity with that O-line group right now, but there is zero excuse from a standpoint of not being able to have the time to throw and compete, and that's what that drill is, kind of known passing. I thought the O-line showed some great physicality throughout the day in the run game, the play-action pass protections, our different phases of our offense, but some games, as you guys know, many of ours, maybe coincidentally or not, many of ours come down to those one-score games, and we're going to have to be great as a team situationally, but the defense clearly won that 2-minute, 1s and 2s yesterday.
JJ's case, there's nothing really he can do from your...
Yeah, he's gonna try to, when it's such an immediate, we call it immediate duress, your job is to, sometimes, you guys have heard me say this before, sometimes the best thing you can do is, just fight through the down with the possession of the football and not allow the defense to take that away and possibly catastrophically change the end of a half there, whether we're receiving the kickoff or not. I talked to our team last night about I'm sure some of those guys were rolling their eyes, but I really got into the weeds on all the things going through my head as the play caller, what's going through Flo's head, combined how we pair our mentalities to then call the games in those situations. What's the risk assessment and management look like? How aggressive do we want to be? And it's got to be in total lockstep for us to then pair a really good middle 8 portion of the game together. So it was, from a coaching landscape of being the head coach, not necessarily the offensive coordinator, it was a great day for me yesterday. Offense made some plays, defense made a lot of plays, and the Vikings got better.
And on the other side of that point, at the top, you named all 5 guys specifically from that defensive front as you've been reviewing what they've been doing here. Yeah. I know it's early, but you got to be licking your lips and rubbing your hands at what these guys might be able to accomplish this year.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I am very excited about that group. Well put. I am very excited about that group, and it's not just the new players. It's Jonathan Grenard. And I don't know how many times you guys have talked to him yet early on here in camp, but he feels to have kind of he's turned it up a notch, and that's a Pro Bowl player, Pro Bowl starter from last year. Ginks the same way, and then you add in the likes of Grave and J.A. inside, and you start to feel in many ways what we felt playing. I tell you guys every week that whether it's the edge guys or the interior guys, there's always things we have to focus on. But right now, you look across that board in that first group, and then you talk about Dallas Turner, what he adds to that group where we really feel like we've got 3 starters. Haven't even mentioned Harrison Phillips, where we feel like we've got those interior starters, some good young players, Ty Ingram Dawkins, Redmond, Levi. It's a chore, especially when you've got some linemen on the offensive side working their way back in. But yeah, I told JG if he wants to take the next month off, that's okay with me. We'll be ready to go. After trying to block him yesterday, awesome drill for those guys.
Can they play games? I mean, when they played together now for a year, linebackers, is that somewhat akin to a quarterback and a receiver where they learn each other and there's a lot of nuance? And they can see things that they don't need to communicate.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I think it's an even bigger point in Flo's defense because of the ownership that he gives these guys. Once they truly grasp what we're trying to do front to back, all 11, it's not just Harry, that's, a beacon of communication. Those guys up front, based upon what did we do last time? If it's a 4-man rush, what's that game look like between, the tackles and the ends, and how do we activate things to attack? The coaches will give them the tools, but then that's the best thing Flo and those guys do is they allow them to, in a lot of ways, apply what they're feeling on a snap-to-snap basis to what they're going to do next. And credit him and his staff and MD and Thad for what those guys do with that group up front.
Ivan was talking about how he's been picking the brain of Cashman and kind of like learning from him and maybe even playing off him. Have you seen any improvement from Ivan that way with trying to do that with Blake?
Yeah, and make no mistake about it, like this, I always give IP a hard time because IP is at his best when he can Tasmanian Devil go tackle everybody on the field. We don't let him do that out here for the safety of not only our players but me included. But I've always seen a level of football make sense to Ivan. There does seem to be a little bit of scheme understanding mixed with the chemistry factor with Blake Cashman, mixed with, the back end too. Harry, Metellus, Theo, how's that dynamic of disguise work based upon what their jobs are on the play? I think it's been awesome. And to think it's not even August yet, and we're getting that type of cohesiveness amongst that first group defensively. I mentioned it to open camp. Like, my expectations are very, very high for our defense. Coaching staff, veteran players, younger, ascending players, a lot of returners now that guys back in the scheme to, take it to, I don't want to say new levels because I don't know how much more they can invent, but they can certainly make things as user-friendly and applicable as possible to our guys playing the positions.
I guess, one, how's he doing? But two, having him just a part of practice, what does that do for the team?
He's so important to our team, Dane. Justin wants to be out here, be around, wants to be present with his teammates, and not just the receiver group, the offense. When the 2-minute didn't go well, didn't go as the way you want offensively, I heard him. Not in a negative way, but just, hey, we know we got to be better than that. We'll get another chance here in a couple days. And that was my challenge to him is there's a lot of ways we can maximize this time as one of our captains, a guy that sets the tone in this building, and he is knocking it out of the park. Rehab's going really well, already progressing. So, could end up being a blessing, in disguise in a lot of ways where, Justin's mentally preparing and engaging with his teammates. He's completely present every single day. But at the same time, we're going to we're trying to build him up for 17 plus games. And, just very fortunate we were able to get out in front of things the way we were.
Last couple, did he allow me to call a play?
I've actually let him call a few of the short ones into the quarterbacks, which then immediately he complained about how long the play was, and the quarterbacks complained that they didn't quite understand some of the Louisiana terms that maybe Justin said a little different than the kid from San Diego. So, kid is
time
a loose
for two
term
more
for me,
questions,
obviously.
guys.
Back on the practice field in camp.
The way I look at it, Kevin, is it's what I just said for sure applies here for the finite amount of time we're talking about to get him right and get him totally ready to roll for the grind that the guy plays 70 plus snaps a week, and what we ask him to do is just flat out remarkable that he's able to consistently do that. But you still want to have him back sooner rather than later. I don't have, like I said, zero worry about the opener, but there's a lot of time between now and then, and what that looks like, we're going to be smart, but at the same time, he wants to get back out there. He does not want to stay, wearing what I wear to practice for much longer.
And how do you guys like wearing the pads and practicing versus not wearing the pads? I mean, do they look at that as their chance to prove to you that they're worthy because it's more physical?
I think that rolls into the, smart, tough, love football. Like, some guys are aware how important it is, and when you emphasize to them, we are building, the armor of our team by practicing a certain way, trying to push to that limit. These are world-class, athletes out there playing really fast, physical. Can we push all the way to the line, but figure out a way to not cross that line into combativeness and where it starts to dip the other way? And I think our guys have mastered that. There's still a lot going on that leads me to believe we're a very tough, mentally and physically tough football team, but not undisciplined and erratic enough to ruin days and miss practice time for either individual players or groups. That's not how we roll around here. We're trying to get the work. We're about the work. And these guys know that sequentially every single moment matters for our team over the next month.
Last one. Kevin, when Justin is out, how do he and JJ kind of make the best of the time when they don't have it on the field too?
Yeah, I think you see it in meeting rooms. I mean, even in the install today, dialogue between those two guys, post-practice, Justin being out there in real time. As we continue to work through the progression of our install, there's some things that are kind of quote-unquote for Justin that we've kind of built over the last 3 years. So, we'll give some other guys some reps at that, and it'll be a huge opportunity for not only JA and TJ and Speedy, but some of our down-the-line guys that are trying to fight to make our team as well. So, and Justin will be there every step of the way to help those guys. And listen, there's a reason why he is so beloved in this building, and clearly he's the best in the world at what he does, but he's also a phenomenal teammate. He's also phenomenal with his dialogue with me as the play caller, with Keenan as his position coach, the quarterback, all of that. That's why I hold Justin in such high regard.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
And there you go. There's Vikings head coach in the 2024 National Football League Head Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell, outside of the new Winter Park TCO Performance Center, with some comments here this afternoon about practice, a little of this, a little of that, with the emphasis on the lot. Very high hopes. Spring are emanating from the new Winter Park Tenby. I think this team, we talked about, one of your questions in 534 was, am I concerned about, the question was something about, the youth on the team, where do you rank? Because we got a lot of veteran players, we don't have a lot of youngins. And, I was alluding to George Allen before we went to the news conference, or the Q&A, the press, or whatever you want to call it, in that, he was, the future is now. We're trying to win football games, and we want to win a world championship. And I think, I started doing the bit about the, touchdown, 2-point conversion, onside kick. But, this franchise has been around since 61 with 4 big game appearances, but no wins. The last time we were in it was after the 77, 78, after the 77 season, or 78, whatever it was, the late 70s was the last time they were in the big game. And the Wilfs have owned the team for, is it 20? It seems like it's close to 20 years they've owned this club. And those of us that have been fans of the team, regardless of what age you are, for me, I started paying attention to football in the late 60s. So I remember that.
Yeah, June 13th, 2005.
Okay. So yeah, it's been 20 years for the Wolves. And so and I think the fan base, especially, especially boomers have been watching it since the beginning. I mean, I don't remember those early to mid 60s teams when I first started really kind of paying attention. It was really in that when they won the last NFL championship before the merger. That was, they played the Kansas City in big game number 4 and lost. So, we've talked about this. The Vikings actually did win an NFL championship, but they had tacked on the big game. That was the last year before the NFL, AFL merged to make NFC under the umbrella of the National Football League. And I think it's like, you want to try to have a team. I mean, the trick is to have a competitive team year in and year out, and bring guys in and let guys go. Bring guys in, let guys go. There's always a revolving door there where you keep your best players, you keep them as long as you can, and then once you start getting diminishing returns, it's a cruel business. All sports is. Once you begin to get diminishing returns, you move on from those guys. But I'd like to. You've not seen the team in a big game.
No.
I've seen 4. I'd like to see it again, so I can't concern myself too much about the youthful nature or the lack of having the youthful nature of the team. I'd rather win and worry about that later. Let's take another break. Mark Rosen's about 13, 14 minutes away, a little bit more than that, maybe just before 2 o'clock. So we'll break. We'll come back with more. It's the Common Man Program with Tennessee, right here on the Fan.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Save the date for the 36th annual Polo Classic. The preeminent polo event in the Twin Cities is back Sunday, August 3rd at the Twin City Polo Club. Get all the details now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Couple 13, 14 past Common Man Program. I'm Common, he's Tennessee. I had some storm damage to my home, to my roof. And what do you think I did, Tennessee? I reached out to All Elements, your roofing specialists in the upper Midwest. And they're right now, as we speak, re-roofing my house. They discovered damage, reached out to my insurance company. And insurance company adjuster came out and agreed. He said, that's storm damage, all right. So they're doing it right now. But so when I finished playing golf today, I met up with Justin and Lebron, who work for All Elements. And we're out in the front yard and watching the crew do the work, and we're doing a little video of me. Here's my home. They're doing the work, right, for, future purposes for their website and for ours. And all of a sudden I see Deuce pull up. And I'm thinking, Coles don't quit. They're terminated. And I'm thinking he got fired from his job a month in. That's the first thing I think. And he gets out of the Jeep, and I'm thinking he's going to go, yeah, I guess they didn't think I was, cut out to be a rate and finance analyst. And he said, it's kind of funny. He works for a power company, and they had a power outage at work, so he had to come back home and work from home. No! Which I was just so happy to hear. Never have I been as happy about a power outage as I was, because I thought it was like, well, because it's like father, like son, right? So he did not get fired. He's still employed, and so that was good news. Someone said here on the give me a second. I went to another. I had to get the time for 2 more. That's my favorite soundbite we use. Text message says, you could have went home and got your chips and got back with the length of that news conference comment. And he's true, but I took Tenebe's advice, his recommendation, and I went to the vending machine. I think I've told you I'm kind of a purist when it comes to my chips.
Yeah.
I can eat Fritos chili cheese chips, but I'd rather just have, regular Fritos.
The original?
I can eat nacho cheese or Cool Ranch, but I just like plain corn chips, right? That's the Tenebe in me. But I decided to buy the nacho cheese. What do you think a 2.8 ounce package bag of nacho cheese Doritos costs out of that vending machine? Take a guess. 2.8 ounces.
I'm going to go $2.75.
I wish. $3.15.
You've got to be kidding me.
$3.15.
It's a crazy world.
It's a crazy mixed up world that we live in. And speaking of that, you alluded to it when you said which of the 5 headlines would I have clicked on. And I did click on gunman targeting NFL headquarters, according to Mayor Eric Adams. This is a couple of hours ago. New York City Mayor Eric Adams said today that a 27-year-old gunman who killed 4 people and injured another in a shooting at 345 Park Avenue on Monday was trying to target the NFL's headquarters. You heard we joined that news, that Kevin O'Connell news conference, a couple of seconds late, and he was alluding to that at the very beginning of his opening statement. They say the shooter was targeting the NFL's headquarters, which are located in that building, but inadvertently took the wrong elevator. Adams said on CBS Mornings today, he did have a note on him. The note alluded to that he felt he had CTE, a known brain injury to those who participate in contact sports. He appeared to have blamed the NFL for his injury. He, from our preliminary investigation, took the wrong elevator bank to the NFL headquarters. Instead, it took him to Rudin Management, and that is where he carried out additional shootings and took the lives of additional employees. One of the victims injured in the attack was an NFL employee who was seriously injured, but is in stable condition, according to a memo sent by NFL Commissioner Raj Goodell on Monday evening. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch identified the shooter as Shane Devon Tamura of Las Vegas. Tisch stated that Tamura drove to New York City from Las Vegas, having passed through Colorado on Saturday, Nebraska, and Iowa on Sunday, and then arriving in New York on Monday. He double parked outside the Park Avenue building just before 6:30, carrying a rifle, and started firing in the lobby. According to Tisch, Tamura killed a police officer working security in the building, hit a woman who tried to take cover. As he made his way to the elevator bank, he shot a security guard and another man in the lobby. He took the elevator to the 33rd floor and shot and killed one person in the Rudin Management offices before shooting himself. Those offices are on floors 5 through 8 in the same building. The note he carried with him claimed that he suffered from chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is CTE. That's a degenerative brain disease linked to repeated head trauma, and he wanted his brain to be studied. CTE cannot be definitively diagnosed until after death, so it is not yet known whether he did suffer from the disease. We know it's been something that the NFL has been studying, and there have been lawsuits, and it seems like, I mean, again, it seems like I think the evidence clearly shows that the more times you get hit upside the head and suffer concussion, the worse it is for you. I think you suffer a brain damage, and it can be considerable, and it can turn into CTE. What I don't understand is he never played in the NFL, so why he was blaming the NFL, I don't know. I think he's obviously they said he had in other circumstances throughout his life he'd shown signs of psychological issues. And he had played, I think, maybe some college ball or something, I guess, maybe high school and college, and thought that was why he was blaming the NFL. I don't know. I mean, there's no reason there's no rhyme or reason to this. I mean, how can he explain it? Why you would think, well, guess what? I've got CT, so I'm blaming the NFL. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to shoot people that work for the NFL. I mean, what the hell would? I mean, there's no logic to that. I mean, the people working in the offices of the National Football League have nothing to do with you getting CTE if you did indeed have CTE. So I don't even understand the and you're not supposed to understand it, I guess. But another tragic situation, and the beat goes on because it probably won't be. It won't be the last. Did you take anything from? And we'll continue to update the story as developments warrant. Did you take anything from what KOC had to say? It just sounds like everybody's pretty ducky and bunnied up.
He sounds pretty excited.
Yeah,
he's very excited for practice. It sounds like Isaiah Rodgers, the cornerback, has a little bit of injury that they're going to hold him out for, but he didn't make it seem like it was too serious.
Yes. So, yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of excitement with what the offense, defense, special teams are doing. I brought this up yesterday, Tennessee, that they're not the only franchise. They're not the only sport. Most teams, I mean, even teams that are going to be terrible teams in terrible city with terrible fans, even they try to exude some optimism, some confidence that, child, things are going to get easier, right? So I really don't expect anything less. You generally don't hear a team say, you looked at our roster? And we got a lot of inexperience. We got a lot of guys in the tail end of their career. We have guys that really aren't that very good. It's going to be a hard season for us. You're never going to hear anybody say that, right? Even if they deep down really believe it. But I think there was reason for optimism. And again, maybe I'm starting to get brainwashed a little bit. It's happened to me before where going into, regardless of the sport, regardless of the team, I go in with maybe some expectations that might not be as optimistic as some other people. And then you start hearing, fans, media, people involved in the organization start talking about how wonderful things are going to be. And then you start looking around and I go, am I the only guy that doesn't get it here? Am I missing something? And I usually cave and I jump into it's going to be the Vikings and the Falcons in the NFC Championship game, and you're on your own after that. I think they're going to either be 14-3, 15-2 if they steal one at Pontiac, and if they get a job by the officials at Lambeau, at Curly will be 12-4. So it's going to be somewhere in there. I'll probably be doing that before we make our predictions, before the season starts. But we'll take a break, have a short segment, then we'll welcome Rosen into the conversation. It's a Common Man program on a Tank of Tuesday here on The Fan.
A big announcement is coming to the Common Man program.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
The Fan.
Get ready to laugh. Comedy legend Bill Engvall is back. He's back at Treasure Island Resort and Casino on Friday, September 5th. The blue-collar comedy tour icon may have retired, but he just couldn't stay away from the stage. Here's your sign to catch him live for another round of side-splitting humor. Get all the details at TICasino.com. Sounds like he's pulling a Rosen.
Yeah, it does.
He retired, but he's still coming back to do comedy.
Yep, he did pull a Rosen. Why wouldn't he? It's what the legendary Mark Rosen does. One of those speculation stories regarding the National Basketball Association and LeBron James. I talked to you yesterday, I think it was, maybe it was last week. There was LeBron might be interested in going to the Mavs, and these are all just speculation because, with James where he's at right now, he could sign, if he were to play out the 2025-2026 season as a member of the Lakers, when that season ends, he'd have roughly, it says here in this story, he's got several options, tend to be. Could sign with any team he wants for the minimum. James could sign with most teams for a cap exception, meaning the full mid-level exception, the taxpayer mid-level exception, or the biannual exception. James could join certain teams via sign and trade. Those teams would need to stay below the first apron, though, and they would have to be able to send the Lakers back an acceptable package of assets. James could join a small number of teams through cap space, signing anywhere up to his maximum, so long as the team in question has the space to fit him. And then the fifth option, James could re-sign with the Lakers for anything up to his maximum, depending upon what they are willing to offer. Then it lists, the headline of the story says, early look at 9 teams and 5 scenarios in play. The Wolves are not mentioned in any of those 5 teams, or any of those 9 teams, which when you've got Tim Conley, I don't know if I'd not include him, Teneby. I mean, he seems to, he'll pull some surprising trade. I think everybody was blindsided by Gobert, right? I don't think anybody saw that coming. And then, even though I think people realized that the Wolves were going to have to do something regarding, they had to dump some salary somewhere along the way. Again, I don't, maybe you had brought it up and I wasn't listening. I was just waiting for my turn to talk. But I don't think anybody saw the Big Meow trade, Big Meow turning into Bodega Cat. So I would never be completely surprised if the Wolves figured something out. But my other question actually would be, well, maybe it's not a question. I guess it is a question. How much will he have left after this? If he's 40, I mean, he's still a talented player, right? Where would you rank LeBron James right now? I mean, not as all-time or anything. I'm just saying right now going into the season, where do you rank him? Is he still a top 5 player, top 10?
I don't think he's top
20?
5.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't even know if he's top 10. Is he top 20?
He's probably borderline top 10. I'd say top 20 for sure. Yeah. Borderline top 10. Even last year, in the Olympics, he was still it was him and Steph were kind of and Durantula were the guys on the United States Olympic team.
Yeah. And maybe he probably is top 20. I don't know. I mean, I could think of, and then, it depends what you're factoring in. How much money does a guy make? Where is he on his contract? How young is he? Like, you look at a guy like, for instance, we'll use our buddy Chet, looks hungry Holmgren. As young as he is, it looks like the sky's the limit for him. I'd rather spend money on him than I would on LeBron James right now, because I don't know how much longer LeBron is going to play. So I don't even know how many teams would be that interested in him. And, you saw those different scenarios. It sounds like some where the money wouldn't be through the roof. But I don't know how that works. But I don't know. I think, it's one of those clickbait stories, a speculation story. But I think we have to see how, before we look at how much interest there would be in him, I think got to see how this season plays out. Sometimes tend to be a guy's talent just, I shouldn't say his talent, but his ability to compete at a high level sometimes just overnight is gone, right? One season, all of a sudden that aging just gets to be a bit too much, and you're God today, gone tomorrow, right? So I'm not sure what LeBron would have left.
I mean, clearly LeBron's at a stage where he can dictate where he wants to go.
Yeah.
But if he had any interest in coming to Minnesota, I think they have to seriously take a look at him.
Really?
Right? And I'm not going to act like I know the ins and outs of.
Oh my gosh! You are above average.
I'm not going to act like I know the ins and outs of how salary cap works, and you have to trade away this amount of salary to get this. If you hit the second apron with him on your team, you're going to make a good chunk of that back. I think it would be great for the Timberwolves brand because one, he's potentially right. It might be his last year.
Yeah.
Right. He might be. He could be retiring as a Minnesota Timberwolf. I'm guessing, would they not sell out every home game this year? If you had LeBron on his farewell tour and you had Ant and you got a team that has a chance to win an NBA championship, the amount of attention the Timberwolves would get on the ESPNs and the NBCs and the TNTs of the world, the amount of discussion about your team.
And the TNTs would tease it a lot.
You'd put a bright spotlight on your brand that the program's never had. And he might help you win. So, but like I said, he gets to choose where he wants to go. And he might not want to be here.
And we can build this thing together, standing strong forever. Maybe nothing would stop us now. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I guess from an excitement standpoint and a public relations standpoint, and maybe ticket sales would be pretty exciting. I just want to say, let's not just get too excited just quite yet, gentlemen. Let's see what let's see how his next season goes at age, 41 or 42. Well, break. Speaking of aging, Mark Rosen is younger than he's ever been. He's younger and in better shape at 75 than he was at 45. And we'll talk to him next as he joins the Grum for the 2 o'clock hour here in the Common Man program on the Fan.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.